Hello, everybody, and welcome to Zebra Reads. I know it has been a long time since I have been here. Lots of things going on, but I wanted to get back into it again. I'm excited to try to catch up a little bit and get some more reviews out there to you. So today I'm very excited to be coming back in order to review this book, which is Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. It's a short fiction book, but I really enjoyed it. So I actually don't have a copy of it, which is why you're getting to see this as a shared screen instead of me. But the book, the author, Banana Yoshimoto, is a pen name for a woman named Mahoko Yoshimoto. She's 58 years old, and she is a contemporary writer then from Japan, and she still lives and works in Japan. She gave herself the name Banana because of the banana flower, which apparently she loves. I read somewhere that it was also because it's not necessarily a clear female name. It could be a male as well. I'm not sure if that's true or not. That's just what I saw online. Her first short story was actually written in 1986. It's called Moonlight Shadow. It's almost always published with the book Kitchen. And Kitchen was written in 1988, so a couple of years later. But it was a more popular book. Moonlight Shadow is a very short story, and the book that I had did have it in there. And I was very confused at first because I thought it was a continuation of the Kitchen story, but it's not. It's a totally different story. She's written many other things since then, but it's Kitchen that has really been popular. It's won several awards and been made into at least one movie. Yoshimoto appears to be a fairly private person. I could not find a lot on her. There is a Wikipedia page, and she has an old personal website, like a blog kind of website, but it doesn't seem to be updated anymore. And her other books, some of them apparently are published journals. So they would be her journals published as, literature, and they're only published in Japanese. And so she would post her journals on this website in English for her English fans. But I'm not seeing much on that website anymore. Maybe I was looking in the wrong place. She does have a Q&A still posted up on there. But otherwise there wasn't a lot on there about her. But keeping in mind that, this book was written in 1988, so it's been many years since the book has been published. So the overview of this book, this is a love story in essence. It's kind of sad, and despite it being quite short, it travels sort of slowly, so there seems to be a lot in it. Mikage, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, it's Mikage, loses her grandmother. She was living with her grandmother dies. She's taken in by a family friend, and she learns to fall in love with him. His name is Yochi, and then his mother, Eriko. So she loves them, she grows to love them, and then she ends up kind of losing them and herself sort of along the way. And even though for much of it seems like not much of anything is happening, by the end, everything is very significantly changed. And probably the most important part is there's always food. And that's really what this is about. It's called Kitchen, and it is about cooking. um, and the way that food is integrated into society. It's really fascinating. As you can probably tell, I absolutely loved this book. I did not think I was going to. It was a very short book. It was a very easy book to read. There was so much in it for such a short story. There's emotion and there's nuances, and I could not predict the ending. I did not know what was going to happen, which I think is lovely. And you know what makes a good book, right? When you don't know how it's going to end necessarily. But then it ends, and you know, it really was the best ending. I couldn't have asked for a different or a better ending. What was great about it to me is everything was very real. And that's one of the problems I have with a lot of books, especially fiction books that I read, is that it just is so unbelievable. I mean, these things just could never happen. Even, you know, like fantasy or whatever, is one thing, but just, you know, a book about everyday people and they're doing all of these things, and this was not it. It wasn't a neat life. It wasn't tidy. It didn't flow smoothly. There were lots of fits and starts of roads that ended nowhere, and then she would just start up somewhere else. And it was just a very, I think, appropriate and accurate description of many of our lives. And then, you know, in the end, you just come to the point of recognizing that where you're at is good, just because simply it is now good. And so I did really enjoy this book. I had no idea it was written in 1988. I thought for sure it was a modern book. I thought it was written in this 21st century. No clue it was written in 1988. I was absolutely shocked that it was that old. It was such a lovely book. I really enjoyed it. Who else might like it? I want to say anyone just because I did, even though I didn't expect to. But I think when you're tired of the sort of perfect fairy tale, neat, tidy love story, it's very different. It's more real. It's more refreshing. Um, what I did not get out of it as well as I might have been able to is the Japanese customs and cultures that came through in this, and I just don't have the insights for it, and that would be particularly true about cuisine. You know, if you know Japanese foods, if you understand the importance of food in social situations, in that custom, the way that works over there, this is probably an even better book for you than it was for me, even though I really enjoyed it. It is a short story, so if you like short stories, this would be a good one. And there's a lot of character development in there, despite it being a short story. Again, foodies, anybody who likes to cook. I don't cook. I have very little interest in cooking. So, you know, I just didn't appeal to that part of it, and I still really liked it. Um, there is also an absolutely wonderful inclusion of a trans woman in this book. And again, not realizing it was written in 1988 and how kindly the descriptions were, and how accepting the language was. for 1988. Part of the reason I thought this was written much later was because of this very positive, nurturing description of this trans woman, and I thought it was beautiful to have included in this book. And I think I interpreted it properly in that sense. So I think that's very important for that inclusion. Who might not like it? People die. Like I said, it starts out with the main character's grandmother dying. There are other deaths, and they hit you hard, and they are sad. There is, associated with that trans woman, there are some certainly descriptions of intolerance and violence toward members of the LGBTQT community. So while the woman is portrayed very positively, there is also a very real description of the problems that she faces. So if you've been through some similar types of trauma, this might not be something. Although, again, I don't know, you may be the type of person that gains strength from listening to other stories, and so this might be that for you. If you like sort of the more epic stories, complex plot lines, lots of characters, this is going to be a very different book. It's much more simplistic. There's very few categories. There's very few characters. It's not complex at all. It's just like a lovely little walkthrough of life. And so if you are, a Game of Thrones type person or that sort of thing, this isn't going to be that at all, obviously. And then also the same with love stories. If you do like those happily ever after and those nice, like fairy tale type stories, ending with that perfect kiss, that's not what this is either. So, you probably just aren't going to get the satisfaction out of it that you do from those other types of romances. But again, I super enjoyed it. And it is a short, quick read. Highly recommend it. And in the end, what it's all about is it's food, and it's food that is what brings us together. And I think even without the background, the social and the cultural understanding of Japanese cultures, I think that's true in so many places. So lovely little book. Pick it up if you can. I will link where you can find it. And I hope to see you again very soon with the next book. Thanks for listening.